top trends forecaster, joined us late last year in December, and now it's his first visit with us in 2011. Gerald Celente, founder of the Trends Research Institute in 1980. Gerald is a pioneer trend strategist. He's the author of several national bestsellers, and the website's trendsresearch.com. Obviously, Gerald, you know what the big story, the big issue is. It's not just the federal judge, a pro-Second Amendment judge, Roll being shot in the face and killed, or this poor Congresswoman Giffords being shot to the brain but surviving, and it looks like may recover with most of her functions intact. And this little poor 9-year-old girl, the father has said, don't use this for political gain, don't use this to take more liberties, and he went on to criticize the TSA. We now know the guy, reportedly from multiple neighbors, was taking a powerful hallucinogen almost on a daily basis. It appears that the best MO we've got is he was obsessed with the Congresswoman. So not only what happened with the shooting, but now this move to restrict free speech right on the heels of the FCC announcing internet controls, right on the heels of all these calls to restrict free speech, Second Amendment. It looks like the system really wants to use this to clamp down, but I've got the national polls out. No one is buying it. In fact, the polls are showing that people are becoming even more pro-Second Amendment after watching this. It seems like anything the mainstream media touches is turning to dust. Instead of having the Midas touch, they've got the, the touch of death here. The system it appears really in trouble. Give us your breakdown on the whole situation.
I think you've summed it up accurately. As we also know, this kid from the reports, he wasn't watching news or listening to talk radio. Just as they did with 9/11, Alex, they'll use any excuse they can to clamp down on freedom. It's one of the top trends that we're looking at, loss of liberty in 2011. The piece, by the way, is the Trends Journal will be out in a week or so, and the piece is written by Paul Craig Roberts on this very issue. So the trend to take our freedoms away from us has long been in the making, and they're going to use this excuse from this sick kid as an excuse to take more away from us. So the other important thing to understand, however, is that what the people want doesn't count. You look at poll after poll, they do what they want, whether it was the TARP bailouts or abrogating our constitutional rights. So it's going to be a fight for freedom to the end.
Continue along that line.
Well, they're not going to stop. As we saw with this piece of legislation, they're trying to push through with what they call net neutrality. Orwell couldn't have come up with a better name. And then we'll look what's going on the other aspects. They've brought Afghanistan and Pakistan to the good old USA with drones flying over our cities in Miami and in Houston, peering in your windows, following us to see who's good and who's bad. We saw our esteemed Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano, the czarette, making a deal with Walmart to follow our every move and have people rat us out. I encourage everyone to go and look up that video on YouTube of Janet Napolitano, beginning it by saying that Homeland Security starts in your hometown, and that if you see anything in the Walmart store or Walmart parking lot, to contact your authorities or your Walmart manager. Yeah, some guy making $62.50 a week in a hernia. I mean, yeah, like he's going to help solve the big problem. That notwithstanding, when you watch the video, the only thing missing is a heavy German accent from World War II era, because that's exactly what it sounds like. And then the other question becomes, all of this security to watch us, Who's watching these people that are watching us? What twisted brains out there are peering in our windows and seeing whether or not we're abiding by the law? So the fact of the matter is, Alex, this is the way it goes. It's old news to us. We put it in chapter and verse in earlier trend alerts and trends journals. As the economy continues to decline, as they continue to lose more and more control, America takes on the aspects of a third world nation. They take the lowest common denominator of society. The people that couldn't get jobs flipping hamburgers at McDonald's, these are the people they put out there for the goon squad. You see them when you go to the airport. These aren't the best and the brightest. Let's get this really straight. All of a sudden now, they become the people to feel you up. And they become the people who have no lives of their own to exert control over you.
Well, Gerald, that's what I've noticed coming in and out of the country or flying. A lot of these people, it's like they're trying to act thuggish. They're trying to intimidate you. They're trying to bug their eyes out at old women and people with kids. Most of them can hardly speak English. I noticed they're hiring people from police state nations that this is their status now. They came from places with sewage running down the streets, and I've been all over the world. You are very well traveled, and growing up, we knew third world countries had cops that acted thuggish and guys with machine guns on corners, and now that's coming to America, but with high-tech telescreens saying, watch your neighbor, and now they're on the news saying, we want to pass laws that if anything you say might upset other people, you're going to be arrested. And by the way, we want your guns. And by the way, we're going to blame this on anybody that's criticizing the Federal Reserve. I mean, they've named Ron Paul and myself on multiple programs all over print media, TV. I mean, this is blood libel. I mean, Sarah Palin, she's no, angel. She doesn't, know that North Korea is the enemy and South Korea is the ally. But still, she got this right. So a blind hog is, able to find acorns. I mean, I'll sure take her over a Barack Obama, but here it is. She said, when was it less heated? Back in those calm days when political figures literally settled their differences with dueling pistols? Since when are we collectively guilty and have to give up our rights and not criticize government when some guy who had literally took a hallucinogen, quote, almost every day and was, quote, a liberal and, quote, obsessed with her and put letters from her to him in his safe? I mean, this guy was, missing every knife in the drawer. His elevator didn't even go up one floor. And then I get to take the blame for this? And look at Illinois. A 66% income tax increase. They just passed it last night. Everybody's fleeing that place. It's going to look like Detroit if they keep it up. I mean, where is this going? It's insanity, Gerald.
As I said, we're moving into third world status. There are a lot of indicators. This isn't rhetoric. When I say this, you have it, for example, the gap between the rich and the poor is the widest in the United States of any of the industrialized nations. You just mentioned Chicago, Illinois. That's the highest corporate tax rate, by the way, when you put state and federal on it, probably in the world. So this is what they're doing, and we're seeing the results of it. You're going to start seeing more and more outbreaks of violence, whether it's somebody out of their mind like this guy or people just fed up. By the way, right up here in good old Kingston, New York, I used to talk about that bank, the key bank I had trouble getting my money out of when they wouldn't give it to me because I wanted to keep it but for myself and didn't want them to hold it. And I mentioned that they got robbed twice. Bingo! 3 times in 2 years. They had another one this week. I can literally throw a stone and hit this bank. That's how close it is. You're going to see more and more of a breakdown. And as the breakdown gets worse, they're going to clamp down harder because they're going to say we have to Stop. It's going to be the campaign slogan, mark my words, of 2012. We got to get tough on crime. So as the system breaks down more, they're going to bring in more of the goon squads to keep us in check.
Well, you notice what they've been politically building is it's a paramilitary army designed for the milk cows, those of us that are law-abiding, pay the taxes. They're actually hiring a lot of the criminals now, just like the Nazis and the Soviets did. That's coming out to fill their ranks. And I've seen all over the country where they'll lay off 20%, 40, over 60 in some counties of the sheriff's deputies, and then announce what the sheriff's deputies were keeping, they're going to be revenue generation. They're not going to come respond to serious crimes like armed robbery. Now, even the Oakland police chief last year was talking about that. So they're telling you the cops are there to get your money, not to help you.
Well, of course, as I've said, and we'll be writing about it more in the Trends Journal, the police have become the enforcers for the crime bosses. The big guys are off limits. Have you seen any heads roll from Wall Street and all these criminal bank scams? And I love the white shoe boy language they use. Robo-signers.
Stay there, Gerald. Hate to interrupt. Got a break. We're going to come back. Let's start off there with the economy, with the fraud. I've got CNBC right here calling in your prediction. It's true. Housing market slips into depression territory. We've been there for a long time. Clinton has come out with another statement saying politics must change after the shooting. But now CNN, MSNBC, and others are reporting, talking to friends and family, he hated politics, saw himself as apolitical, and was basically obsessed with her. And that's what our article up on prisonplanet.com says. On Sunday, I called him as a nihilistic guy, rejected by women, into the occult to shock people. Just like Eric Muller said earlier. It's a game called Topper. They're trying to top each other and how radical they are. And he started taking a high-powered hallucinogen, quote, almost every day. That's his neighbors, his friends, his family, the Associated Press reporting. And it goes on to report, was the shooter in love with Congresswoman Giffords? Now the new headline up at Drudge. He did not watch TV. He disliked the news. He didn't listen to political radio. That is being reported here. And I want to get back into the economy. This is a short segment, but you got cut off by the break, Gerald Celente. You were starting to get into the things that are happening. But it's so incredible to actually see them from within hours of this happening, trying to blame anybody who is seen as promoting lower taxes, smaller government, and the Tea Party movement, which the Republicans have tried to take over, but unsuccessfully. I mean, these really are authoritarians. They really are trying to end free speech. Do you think they're going to be successful?
Well, they are successful. Look at the mainstream media. They're nothing more than shills for Washington. But they're not going to be successful in the long term. Again, it's a give and take. As you know, one of the top trends for 2011 is journalism 2.0. And you're it. And I'm it. And it's all of these other it's out there that are putting out a different message. So as the message gets out there more and more, they clamp down on it more and more. So it's going to be a fight. In the end, we believe, however, that the voices such as yours and mine and many others is going to ring much louder than theirs, because when you look at all of the polls coming in, people are losing their faith in the mainstream media. And again, they're going to use any excuse they can to clamp down on any message that they don't want to hear.
And here's the deal. With True TV, Time Warner, we've now confirmed they did kill that episode on Police State under Homeland Security threats behind the scenes. The government didn't want this out in the open. They're threatening people to keep it secret. Now they've ordered all the DVR distributors to erase all the seasons, last year and this year, and they're starting to not air the old episodes as much. I mean, if they can get away with killing Ventura's TV show, and there's not any mainstream media coverage on it, why not kill all of the alternative media or alternative information that gets on mainstream media? I mean, this is really happening.